Hello everyone and welcome to Arts and Crafts for You. I'm here at the store in Brampton, Ontario, and it's almost summer, so school is almost out, and I normally here I teach quite a lot of kids to sew, and one of the projects that the kids make here is this pencil roll, and I was asked to do a video so they can make it over the summer for September for when they go back to school. It's fairly easy project, so I'm going to give you the measurements and let's get started. So for this pencil roll, we're going to be needing 2 pieces of fabric, one for the front, one for the back, and 1 piece of fusible fleece to make it a little bit thicker. And the sizes are 14 by 10.5 in all these 3 pieces. Then for the flaps, we need 1 piece that's 10.5 by 9.5. That's going to be my top, and another piece for the bottom where I'm going to put my pencil crayons, 10.5 by 8.5. Okay, so I'm going to go to the iron, and I'm going to fuse my fusible fleece to my inside fabric, because my inside fabric is where I'm going to be putting the fabric with the lines to put the pencil crayons. So I need this fabric to be a little bit thicker. I'll be right back. So I fused my fusible fleece. And my first step, I'm just going to cut whatever I have extra around the red fabric that I'm using for my inside of my pencil crayon roll. After I cut that up, the next step, I need to prepare the 2 pieces that's going to go here in the bottom for the pencil crayons, and the flap that's going to go on the top. So I have my 2 pieces here. So the longer one that I have here, that's, let's see, we have 2 pieces. Let me just grab the 2 pieces. So the one that's 10.5 by 9.5 is the one that I'm going to be using for my pencil crayon. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put right sides together, and I'm going to be sewing the 2 sides here, about 1/4 inch seam allowance in both sides here, and then the one that's going to go on top, that's going to be my flap, that's 10.5 by 8 inches, so it's a little shorter. It's going to be the one that's going to be going up here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold right sides together, and we're going to be sewing this side here and that side there, and I'll be right back. So I sew my sides. As you see, I sew it here, and also this side here. Okay, now I'm going to flip it to the right side, and my taller one, I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna take it to my iron and iron it flat, of course, and then I'm gonna go here. You can do it to the middle, but I normally like it because I use the snaps, and I like when I fold that it has a nice flow. I always put them more, about 2, I would say about 2 inches from the end on this side, and leave the rest here. So I'm gonna go there and pin it there. But first, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find my middle here, because I need to draw lines so I can sew where the pencil crayons are gonna fit. So I'm just gonna, so this is the middle here. So I'm gonna get a ruler and a marking pen. I'm gonna use this one, this chalk that's really good in black fabrics. So, and I'm gonna do a line here in the middle. Then from that line, I'm gonna do about 1 inch, and another one, and another one, all the way to the end. Of course, if you think 1 inch is too big, you can make whatever size you would like. You can do a 1/2 inch, or even bigger. If you decide to make these for crochet hooks or makeup brushes, you can definitely change the sizes that I'm marking here, the different sizes. So after you have all your lines done, what you're going to do, you're gonna put a pin to secure it in place, and we're going to be sewing on those lines that we just marked. On the beginning here, I want you to backstitch once or twice to really secure, so when we put the pencil crayon, it doesn't rip open. Also, in order so your fabric stays nice and straight, you're going to start from the middle. You're going to go one line down, then this one you're going to do up, then this one down, and that one up. So by doing that, what happens, you eliminate your fabric moving this direction and you end up like it's crooked. So if you're doing one up, one down, your fabric stays straight. Alright, so I'm going to go to my machine and I'm going to do all my lines. Also, I'm going to get my flap from the top. I'm going to center to be the same size as the bottom here. And I'm going to put a pin holding it, and I'm going to do a seam across here just to secure it in place. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I did my lines, so I sew all my lines up and down, and I also attach my flap to hold the pencils in. So now I need to get my outside fabric. If it's directional, just make sure it's sitting side up. So when you turn it to the other side, it's going to be straight because the pencils are going to go in here. So what are you going to do? You're going to put it together with right sides together. When you're sewing anything that has a fusible fleecy or a stabilizer, and one of the fabrics that doesn't have it, you should always sew on the side that has the stabilizer. In this case, we have the fusible fleecy, so we're going to be sewing on that side. The reason why is if you're sewing on the fabric side, because your foot on your machine is flat, it's going to be putting pressure in the fabric, and it's going to be stretching your fabric this way. And by the time you get here to the corner, you already end up with a little bit extra fabric. But if you're sewing on the fusible side, the feeding dogs will be pulling the fabric that's not stabilized, and this part here is not going to stretch anymore because it has a stabilizer on it. So you can end up with no extra fabrics. All your fabrics are going to be evenly together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin it all the way around, and I'm going to mark an opening on the top where the flap is. I'm going to leave about 2 inches opening, so I can flip it inside out. So that's my 2 inches. Then I'm going to pin all the way around and sew it all the way around from there to there, and then flip it inside out, and I'll be right back. So I already sewed all the way around, and this is my opening. Another thing I would like to mention is when you're sewing and you have to leave an opening, it's really good if you sew from the edge of your fabric in and then go this way in both sides. So when you flip it, your fabric already, it's turned. So when you try to do your top stitch, you end up with a better fold. So right now what I'm going to do is just going to trim my corners so I have a better corner. And the seam allowance that I used all the way around here was about about a half an inch that I used all the way around. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to flip it to this side. All the way to this side. Push the corners out. There are some tools you can use to poke your corners. I'm just gonna use my scissors and fix them a little bit. All four. And what I'm going to do is iron it. And as you see, because I have my fold there, the sewing piece there, folding it down, I don't know if you can see it, the fabric already folds completely, so you don't really have to struggle trying to make that even. So we're gonna iron it, and we're gonna do a top stitch all the way around. So you're gonna be top stitching all the way around. I don't want to make the video very long, so I probably wouldn't make you wait for me to do the top stitch. But the top stitch, normally what I do, I use about a 4 seam length, because I like a longer stitch. And now what you can do, you can put some snaps on if you would like. So you can use one of these tools and put some snaps. And I don't know if you ever touch these snaps, but they're not difficult. You literally just have to mark where you want the snap. And normally these tools come with a little tool just to make a hole where you want it. In this case, I seem to misplace mine, so I'm just going to use a seam ripper, and I'm just going to kind of poke the fabric through here. I'm not going to pull it through, just poke it. Then I would be putting my snap through here, through that hole. Alright, I would find, normally you need a male and a female piece to go in each end, and you would put it there. You would use the tool, put it in between with the flat edge to the bottom of the tool, and then you just put some pressure. And here it is. Then you would have to mark it here on this bottom here of your crayon roll, your pencil roll. I would mark it here what I would want my other piece. And on this case here, I would have to, so that's where I marked it. I would go on the inside, and I will put it through the bottom this time. The flat one would go through the bottom with this to the top. And then you would need your other piece. If you use one that's rounded, then you would use the other one that would fit with that, so the flat one. Just make sure you don't get them confused. That goes in there. And what you would do, since we have that there already, you would put it in there, and you would do the same thing. Put it through, put your fabric through. Let's see. Again with the flat to the bottom. Then put some pressure, and you're done. I'm not going to do all of them. I was just showing you one. So you can do 3 of them as I did on my other one. Or you can always get just an elastic. That's what I have here. This is just an elastic. What I did is I put a little button and I made a little bow, and I can definitely just pull it through. That will hold it together, and it will look very nice. So if you don't have a way of putting the snaps, you can definitely use the elastic, and you can do a little decoration on the elastic and just put it around to hold it together. Or you can always sew a ribbon in here and tie it around. So there's a lot of ways that you can close this off. So This is what it looks like again. I already put some pencils in. So now I'm going to show you a bigger one. So you're not really limited to make just this size. You can make these for pencil crayons, for makeup brushes, for crochet hooks, even knitting hooks if you change the size. So in this one here that I have here, see, it's a lot bigger, and I use the fabrics from Henry Glass. In here I have is just an elastic holding it, and what I did, I just put some yarn on it and a couple buttons. So when you open it, see, I have all my knitting needles in here, and I have some pockets to put my curvy ones. So I did 2 pockets instead of 1. Then you can kind of divide it whatever sizes you want. Larger ones. In here I left a really big one, but I could sew these down and make it smaller. But I decided to leave it a little bit bigger so I can fit these chunky needles. Here you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Subscribe if you like to see more videos, and we hope to see you again. Happy sewing!